In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the starter motor on this Ford Escape. This is going to be located about halfway down in the front of the engine. Let's get into it. Remove the battery cover, just grab it and slide it off. I'm going to disconnect the negative terminal. The terminal right here is the positive, you don't want to touch that. Use a 10mm socket and reach back. Find the negative terminal, loosen that. And just grab the terminal when it's loose. Slide it off, out of the way. Underneath the vehicle, if you have a cover right here, you want to remove it. This vehicle doesn't have one. Now we're going to loosen up this hose clamp. Use a 7mm socket. Just loosen that up. Take this off later. And we're going to go over here. There's a hose clamp right here. You want to loosen that one up. All right, that's good. Using a 10mm socket, take this nut off. That's loose. There's another nut back here. Take that one off. Same 10mm socket. Now disconnect these two hoses. If you need to, you can use a pick. I'm just moving the hose clamp over. Just get underneath here just to loosen this up. Slide that off. Same over here. Just use a pick. Loosen this up. Just using a trim tool just to pry this. That down. Now we're going to take this retainer off. I'm just using a trim tool. You can see where that hose goes over that stud. Just slide that out of the way. There's a nut right there on the stud. We want to take that nut off. There's going to be one above it as well on the same bracket. Using a 10mm socket, let's take that nut off. I'm just going over the pipe. You can switch to a ratchet wrench if it makes it easier. Just a 10mm ratchet wrench. Take this cover off, just grab underneath, just pop it up. Slides right out. Using a trim tool, there is a wire that's on that bracket with a retainer. So just pop that off right there. There you go. Then you can move that out of the way. Using a 10mm socket, take this nut off. And just grab the bracket, slide it off the studs. Just move that out of the way. There's a bunch of wires that are still connected to it. That's okay. And using a 13mm socket, take this stud bolt out. Oh, and just pull that out. Now underneath, we're going to use the 13mm socket. Take that stud off. Underneath, the bracket's still on. You want to pop that off. Just get that hose out of the way. There we go. Once you get it started with the socket, if you want, you could switch to a ratchet wrench if it's easier. Just take it out by hand. And pull that out. On the back side of the starter, where the wires are, I'm just using a 13mm socket. Reach down, take the nut off, right there. There's the nut. And there's another nut. It's hard to see. You see this little plastic piece right here? It's at the base of that. There's a stud sticking out. Just use a 10mm socket, just right there. Get on that. Just twist that. There we go, slide that off. There's the nut. There's the nut right there. Now the starter's loose. We're going to take it out from down below. Using a 15mm socket, we're going to take this bolt out. That way we can rock the engine back a little bit. I'm just going to use a strap just to pull the engine back a little bit. Grab the starter. Just get it under that hose. Just twist it. And it slides right out. Take the new starter, and slide it in place. Get under that hose. Twist it a little bit and just push it up there. Try to get the hose around it. All right, that's just gonna hold it there. We'll go up top. Now we're gonna move the wires out of the way a little bit. Try to get this to line up over here. Now we get it close to these wires. I'm going to attach that to that. Make sure the studs get lined up. We got these wires on, and now we're going to put the nuts on. We can tighten those down. I'm just putting the lock washer on, the smaller stud first. Get that started. Before I tighten that down, I'll put the other lock washer on the stud that goes right here. And then the nut. And it's on the opposite side of this piece of plastic. You just can't see it. All right, those are both started. Just gonna pull this up a little bit. And now I'll tighten that down with a 8mm socket. And get that snug. And if you can get a torque wrench in there, you want to torque that to 53 inch-pounds. Make sure you're on inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. And then using a 13mm socket on that nut, tighten that down. And if you can get a torque wrench in there, you want to torque that to 106 inch-pounds. Now from underneath, just take the starter, rotate it, get it lined up on the pins. There's little dowel pins. That looks pretty good. Get that one started. Right there. Make sure the bracket's out of the way. See that one? And before we tighten it down, we'll get the top one started. Take that stud. Get that started right there. Move the wires out of your way. Torque that to 26 foot-pounds. Now from underneath, we're going to tighten this one down. That's snug. And we'll torque this to 26 foot-pounds. All right, that's good. Now move the wires around. Take that bracket, slide that over the studs. You can get the nut on and then make sure you have it over the stud down below. And I'll line that bracket up. And take the nut, get that started, and we can tighten this one down. And snug that down. That's good. And take this retainer for this hose and slide that around and go right over the stud. I'm just going to loosen up this strap. Take that off. Lock the engine forward so you can line that up. Just use a pry bar if you need to. Get the bolt in. And we'll tighten that down. Snug that up. I take this hose, get this started over here, make sure the hose clamp is on. Get that lined up. All right, that's good, that's good. Go over the studs. There we go. Tighten these hose clamps down. Snug that down. Snug that one down. Get the nuts started. Snug these down. Good. If you have the shield that goes underneath here, you want to put that back up. Now we can tighten this nut up top. Just pull the wires out of the way. And snug that down, not too tight. Take the wire. You can see where the retainer goes into that bracket. Just line that up, push that in place. That's good. All the other wires and hoses are in place. Take the engine cover, line it up, and push it down. That's good. And take the negative battery cable. And connect it on the battery. Take your ratchet, your socket. And just snug that up. Just give it a wiggle, make sure it's tight. Make sure it won't come off. Take the cover and line the cover up. Lock that in place.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.